When you do something, succeed with it. When you fail with it, that's when you are officially a teacher and you can teach what you did. I basically created a curriculum about their product, how it works, how to leverage it. And then they gave me, it was a 5-figure deal, like low 5-figure deal. And then on top of that, they still shared like affiliate commissions. My son just motivated me to restructure my business to where I make myself optional. Also taught me that like business just doesn't even matter. Every time I filmed, it was exhausting. And I was doing it just because like, well, that's what my channel is. Like that's what gets views and etc. The one thing that I did not start over was a new channel because I didn't know what to do. It's like you don't want to not lose, but give up on a channel that has such a big audience, 200K subs, almost 10 million views.
This is Marissa Romero. She makes over $250,000 a year teaching coaches, consultants, and experts how to scale their YouTube channels. Marissa's creator journey hasn't been easy. From losing her YouTube channel to the challenges of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, she has faced her share of obstacles. Her failures have taught her how to create a sustainable business that supports not only her financial goals, but her personal ones as well. In this episode, we dive into the roller coaster journey of adapting, failing, and building her business. How her surprise pregnancy inspired her to create a business that doesn't depend solely on her. What you need to know to ensure that you never have your channel stolen. And what she is doing to rebuild her business after 2 years of negative subscriber growth. Get ready for an authentic conversation that reveals how Marissa transformed her challenges into opportunities, showing us that success is more than just numbers. It's about creating a life you love. The Funded YouTuber is brought to you by Gigastar. You are just a woman that has done it all. You've traveled around the world. You've had a child. You have lost your YouTube channel. You've gotten it back. You've had amazing businesses that you have built and some failures along the way. And we're going to talk about it all. Are you ready, Marissa?
Let's do it.
What do you create on the internet?
What do I create on the internet? I would say that my soul's mission is to help other individuals really connect their heart's message to their mouth and amplify their message to the world. That's why I'm here. On a more technical standpoint, what I do is I create content for business experts, founders, coaches, consultants who, really want to leverage video, the YouTube platform, to amplify their brand, supercharge their lead gen, and get more clients in the door, essentially, by leveraging systems and also team support.
How did you get started with this? What led you to YouTube?
I do now looks very different from how I got started. So I got started as an entrepreneur in 2017 with e-commerce. Like I was doing Shopify and online stores and didn't like it. So I did that for a year, quit, sold the stores. And then it was April 2018. At the time I was in Thailand, just being a digital nomad. And I didn't really have income because I had stopped doing e-commerce. And I was like, okay, but I had learned a lot. Like I had learned Facebook ads. I had learned branding stores. Like I learned a lot of marketing stuff. And what I noticed was people on YouTube were just documenting what they know and sharing what they know. So I was like, that can't be so hard. I can do this. So I decided in April to go all in with YouTube. I literally posted every day for like 60 days. And I crossed, by June, I was monetized. Like I was monetized in 60 days. At that point in April, I had 250 subscribers. And then going into June, I was monetized and I got my first AdSense check in July. But I was also monetizing pretty heavily with affiliate marketing. Like that's how I made like 80-90% of my income my first year on YouTube. And that's how it all started.
So where did that expertise come from? Like, how did you become qualified to teach all of that?
By creating authority for myself, authority meaning when you do something, succeed with it. When you fail with it, that's when you are officially a teacher and you can teach what you did. And I just was learning. I was learning what a CRM was, how to write emails, how to generate leads. But I was just learning as well from other online marketers in the space. And I was implementing on the back, or before I had started, creating my first funnel and all of those things. And those are the things I was teaching one by one. I was just transparent with my journey. I said, oh, hey, here's how I made X amount from these affiliate programs. Here's the funnel I use. And I would just share. So I would just share as I would go and learn.
That is the most
millennial way of doing something I think ever possible. Like I'm in the exact same boat. Like my formal training is in like animation. Like I wanted to be an animator for Disney. And then the recession was like, nope, try again. And everything I know and everything I have done has been literally like school of hard knocks and trial and error and talking to people and, you know, YouTube University. I think it's such a like underrated way to like figure things out, but also like a really popular way to figure things out. And I'm sure there's some study somewhere that talks about like why it has happened this way, but it's been so interesting to learn all this because it also puts us in this position of, like you said, our failures allow for us to be teachers, allows for us to like create the processes, create the methodologies and the way that other people now do things. So, how did you take all that knowledge and what you were doing and bottle it up to sell to other people?
Yeah, no, great question. It's just what my very first course that I ever had, I think I called it like Affiliate Freedom Academy, where I taught people affiliate marketing because I had become successful with promoting affiliate products, both digital products, high ticket affiliate products, and everything in between. And it was a demand that people wanted. They're like, well, I want to learn affiliate marketing too. I was like, okay. So I created a course. I think I sold it for $197, something like that. Kartra was my first like CRM. And I literally just left Kartra, which is like 6 years later. But I started learning Kartra. It was all in one. It had funnels, emails, like everything I needed to get started. And I was like, okay, I can create a checkout page. I can create the membership videos. And that's what I did first. And so later I got pretty burnt out with affiliate marketing. So I'm like, I want to create my own. Like I want to do my own stuff and have my own programs and have better control. And so I did a huge, not a huge, but I did a pivot from, all right, I'm going to stop posting so heavily about affiliate marketing and post more about just general online marketing and also YouTube, because people were asking a lot, like, how are you growing your channel so fast? And then it became, my heart was just so into, you know, what we now call the creator economy and teaching people how to do that and build businesses and brands leveraging the YouTube platform. And so my subscribers to sales brand was born back in late 2019, early 2020. And so that's when I pivoted to like, I want to launch the very first version of my subscribers to sales course and teach the fundamentals of YouTube.
Isn't it so interesting how like we now call it the creator economy, but like back in the day we used to call it just like I'm on YouTube, and like it's a whole business. I will firmly believe that like social media marketing has been rebranded into the creator economy. Like that's just like where it exists and how it functions. Tell us about subscribers to sales. When I think about the YouTube space, I think the number one question I do get asked is, how do I make money on YouTube away from like AdSense sponsorships and affiliates? Because those are the big three, but those also are like are really volatile and totally out of control. So how did you do that? Like walk us through what that was, how you figured it out, how it worked, all of those details.
It was honestly a full mix of all of those things you just mentioned. And I learned webinar sales funnels back in 2020, and where you have a pre-recorded webinar that gives value and pitches the course at the end. And when I first launched subscribers to sales, I think my initial price was $800. That included access to the course and also access to a couple of coaching calls a month, or one or two, I can't remember. And that was a big income generator for a very long time. And but I also made quite a good amount from AdSense. I mean, it was typical where I'd see like 10K months in AdSense, 12K months, between 8 to 12K, you know, brand deals. Once I started to figure out like how much I could charge, like I never did a video for under 4K. And then I also got creative and like, okay, well, if there's other ways to do brand deals besides just me, the company sponsoring video, that's kind of boring. but I also one brand deal I did was like, hey, let me expose you to my warm audience, my customers. I'll create a full tutorial and base sponsor my course by your company and create tutorials of how your product works so people can buy within the course. That was great. I mean, it was a lot of work for me, but it was like one of my biggest brand deals ever.
Okay, so hold on. I want to dissect what you just said. So you worked with a brand, your course supported, and so you created content about them that also supported an affiliate. So you got paid twice then, not just we got paid for the affiliates, but also for them being like the featured tool or product for your course.
Exactly. Yeah. I basically created a curriculum about their product, how it works, how to leverage it. It was a 5-figure deal, like low 5-figure deal. And then on top of that, they still shared like affiliate commissions. And that was really great. There's so many ways to do different deals besides like the typical mention my video. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so there was brand deals and sponsorships, affiliate marketing. I don't think I mentioned that, but I kept doing. I think everyone always needs to do affiliate marketing. It's just
Mhm.
low hanging fruit income that everyone should have. And it's slipping my mind. Oh, and then but I also did like one-off coaching. I didn't do it a lot, but yeah, those were like the various streams that I did.
Before we dive into the next phase of your business, you did go through something I think that is really vital lesson for us to learn. We're talking about our income. It's also important to remember like we have to protect our income. Could you share with us how your channel got deleted and like all of the things that happened from that and like the lesson you learned?
So literally the week that COVID started, March 8th, 2020, I was living in Colombia at the time, and the whole world, went into quarantine. It was the most craziest thing we'd ever seen in humanity, or at least in our lifetime. And
So
we had the
far.
whole toilet paper fiasco in the U.S. I wasn't in the U.S., but I saw people like buying toilet paper. I'm like, what's going on? So, yeah, we had to quarantine. But anyway, March 8th I woke up and I noticed that my channel was hacked and deleted. My video editor at the time texted me and was like, hey, I think something's up. Like, she called me and she would never call me. Like, I don't know why that she would do that. And I was like, what? So what happened was I had a Filipino VA who was working for me, and she had access to my channel. Very bad decision for me to give her access to my Gmail account. And I had fired her because she was stealing hours from me. And and she begged to stay. And I'm like, hell no. So, but I forgot to change passwords. And so it was her. It was her who came back. She changed the phone number, the recovery phone number, the email address. Like, she definitely got in all of it. And she didn't even just hack my channel. Like, she tried to delete my Facebooks, my Instagram, she tried to get it like everywhere. Everywhere. It was crazy. She was like literally trying to like kill my whole everything. And it was pretty devastating because at the time I had 91,000 subscribers, and I was like, wow. And so my channel was down for an entire month, and I had no clue if I was going to get it back. I have a whole video on like like documenting everything that happened. And it was kind of like a movie. But anyway, I went back and forth for weeks with Google YouTube support, and it was just like, no update, there's no update, there's no update, we're still working on it. They were able to recover the channel, which was crazy because I was prepared to start over. Like, I had even started over. I was just like, well, I might as well start over because I don't know if I'm getting it back. So I started over, and then about a week after that is when the channel came back. And it was the strangest thing because I looked at the analytics and I had lost subscribers, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, I didn't get the channel back the way it was when it had left. I'm like, it was really weird. So, but of course, I'm grateful they got it back. I couldn't believe it. So, I was able to reestablish momentum with the channel over the following few months, but it was crazy.
This is where I think the big scare comes into place about like the idea of like renting on like, or is it building something on rented land kind of an idea? Because you never know like when this kind of thing is going to happen. Like I have had friends that have like had their accounts hacked as well and like shut down because like they were like live streaming crypto stuff or like, and so a lot of people reported their account and all this kind of stuff and like they just lose it and it just goes away. And it's just really scary. And I think this just reinforces why it's so necessary to own your audience in some way, shape, or form, whether it's like a email list or a membership or community or a blog or something like that, where like you can control the narrative. What lesson though did you like put into place to protect your brand from all of that?
Well, the number one thing I did was created a Gmail account or a Google account that no one knew except for me. Like no one knew what the email address was except for me. That's the number one thing. Like, don't create a channel around a Gmail that you use for everything. That's just asking for trouble. And some people still make the mistake of putting their Gmail as like the info email in the about section of their channel. That's just like a huge no-no. And so I even, in my curriculums, I created a whole module on YouTube security, how to secure it. There's even like this key that has to be plugged into your computer in order to even access your Google account. But I update my password regularly, like every month. I use LastPass. I never share passwords with my team anymore. It's always in a secure way where they have their own logins, in a way where I could remove it with just a couple clicks of a button, and they don't have access to the level to be able to delete or erase.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I used to tell that to people too about Facebook pages where it would be like some member of like their company made them a Facebook page and then like they left or quit or whatever and took their business page with them and stuff. And it's like, guys, you have to own all these things. Like you have to create it from your profile. You have to have these securities. Always have a second account that only you have access to. Never make anybody a full admin. Like those things. And I definitely going to make sure we include the link to your course in our show notes because I think that YouTube security is highly undervalued and under talked about. So we'll make sure to include that in our show notes at thefundedyoutuber.com. Okay, so let's keep going down the journey of Marissa. So you're going along, you're making stuff, you're making money, COVID is happening. And then I just so happen to know that one of the biggest life changes in the world happened to you. And I'm curious how having your baby restructured your business and how you do things.
It's just a great story because I had never wanted really to be a mother. I mean, it was kind of like maybe, but I was cool with not. So when my first son, Kai, when I found out I was pregnant with him, I was like, what? Like, it took me months to just comprehend what that even meant. Like, it was a whole bunch of feelings that you have to process at once, on top of the physical changes you're going through, the hormonal changes, and the emotional things. And so in September 2021 is when I found out I was pregnant. The end of 2021, I had moved my now husband back to the United States. He got a green card and I immigrated him back to the United States. And so once we got back, I was still trying to figure out like, okay, like it was just a lot of shifts going on at once. Like we got back, we did the 90-day fiance, we got married, I was pregnant, like just all types of life changes. And I was scared because I've never been away from my business. And I knew I would have to be because so many moms, entrepreneur moms told me like, prepare for maternity leave. And I'm like, how? So, leading up to, he was born in May. So like January, just every month leading up, I'm just like, okay. Well, so one first things I did was I hired an operations manager who managed my team, which was so great because managing team took up a whole lot of time. It's a lot to manage what they're doing, just to make sure that projects are moving forward. And she was an angel. She just came in and took over. So that was one thing. And then Another thing I did was I made sure that my YouTube team knew how to create content and post and do everything and manage the channel without me. Like I had no
Okay.
choice because I was not going to be able to do anything. So I made sure we had SOPs, systems, tasks. I made sure that I didn't have content for like every week while I was gone, but I had enough to post like at least 2, 3 times a month while I was gone. And at the time, the enrollment for my course and program was automated. Like it had a sales funnel, so enrollment was automated. And I even had fellow YouTube coaches like come in and host some of the coaching calls while I was gone, which worked out really great. And so it was really just all what I boil it down to is like systems are the utmost like most important thing that you could incorporate in your business. And the way I define a system is it's a how do I define it? This happens when I'm like recording my own YouTube videos. Basically like a repeatable assembly line of people, tools, and processes like that exact trifecta, I guess you can say. And so what are the tools needed? Like what's the process and like who in the trifecta like is doing it? Who on the team is responsible for making this happen? So that's how I felt or that's how I approached going into the maternity leave. And when I went in, you're never going to feel prepared leaving your business as a business owner. Like there's nothing that's like, oh yeah, it's not like I heard in Canada, like moms get a year and a half off for maternity leave. And I'm just like, what? I was craving like it'd be amazing to work for Google and get 9-month maternity leave. Like that's, but for us, it's just not like that. And so I did the best I can. When I came back, I took 3 months off. And I remember month 2 and 3 while I was gone, I had like a check in with my ops manager to see how things were going. That was really it. But when I came back, I was like, wow, it survived. It survived. Yay. Not only did it survive and we didn't lose our money, but we profited 30% each month, like multiple 5 figures. And I was just like, what the hell? How do we do that? So at that point, long story, kind of short or kind of longer, was my son just motivated me to restructure my business to where I make myself optional to where I can, and it also taught me that like business just doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't, it's not who we are. We're not our businesses. Like I was so just identity strong on like I'm my business, and if the business fails, like it's all like Marissa's fault. And so just my son coming in, it just, it broke me open emotionally. I was just like, there's way more to life than grinding in your business, than constantly striving to break new revenue goals. And that's what he taught me.
That's beautiful. And I think it's a fantastic outlook and just refreshing. Thank you for sharing that, because I know it's not easy to like think through this. Like when we are faced with challenges, it's so easy for us to go dark and panic and stress and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, I've talked about the birth of my daughter and how my business was a month old and they were wheeling me into the emergency room to cut her out of me because she wrapped the cord around her neck. I'm emailing my clients like, sorry, there's going to be a gap in communication because I hadn't had a chance to like put my systems in place because she came 2 months early. And so it's so important. And this is where I think the conversation around sustainable and unsustainable businesses is so important. We as YouTubers are building businesses based off of our faces, like our physical presence. We are the product. That is so unsustainable. And I think that at its core is the reason that so many YouTubers burn out or wash out or their channels just deplete, because it's hard to just stay and be one thing for so long. And I think you're proving that like the best thing that YouTubers can do is to create something that can exist and function and flow like actual businesses do, where everyone has a part to play and to make the whole money machine move round. And I also really appreciate your note about like there's way more to life than revenue goals, because it's again so easy to get wrapped up in like, oh my god, how many views am I getting this month? How many subscribers do I have? What are my ads and how much am I making? What is a sponsorship post? Like always being stuck in that rat race. Like, hold on a second. Like who I am is important and it needs to be fulfilling and bring me some level of joy and happiness. Not all the time, but some reasonable amount of it. But like it does not need to define us. It's just a part of who we are. And it's very easy to forget that because YouTube is such a grind sometimes. You, however, right now are in a very unique place in your YouTuber business. Walk us through what's kind of happened and what your plan is to get on track for a new way of YouTubing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Uh, the story once my son was born, that's kind of where things began. What I realized at the moment was after he was born was like I was so burnt out on my channel. I hated the content I was creating. I was posting a lot of, make money online, biz opportunity, and I was speaking to the beginner crowd, side hustles, work from home, just things that was very beginner, and I hated it. Like every time I filmed, it was exhausting, and I was doing it just because like, well, that's what my channel is, like that's what gets views and etc.
It's what the algorithm wants.
Yeah. So he gave me the courage just to stop. Like I stopped doing that. And I still to this day I just can't explain what it's not the algorithm. It's I can't explain what was happening, but I did decide to niche pivot, but I mean the channel super duper tanked. I mean, it just went off. I mean, but put in perspective, in the past 2 years, I haven't had a positive subscriber gain. Like I've only lost subscribers. I mean, AdSense went completely away. It was very scary. I mean, brand deals I had, they went away. It was very, very, very scary because, the channel was a very booming channel, and it just tanked, and it's never come back to life, to be honest. So what I did on the back end was, since traffic was going down, I had to figure out a way to supplement income. And that's when I started to, what I did was I'm like, I want to teach how I was able to take a maternity leave. Like this is what I want to teach. I want to teach those who are more established in business, who need this help at this level, who are already making 10, 20K a month and need YouTube and also the systems, and to understand what a YouTube team is and how they can support. So that's when I launched a program. It still is a hybrid of coaching done for you and also done with you. So it's like the best of three worlds. So that has evolved over the past year. And, to be honest, it's like the channel, it's done all kinds of crazy things. And, I've had to supplement with ads, with Meta ads, with YouTube ads. And sometimes the ads do well, sometimes they don't. And a lot of, I mean, I had built up my email list to over 50,000 people. And it was an audience that was not interested in the new thing I was selling. It was literally like having to start all over. But the one thing that I did not start over was a new channel, because it was just, I didn't know what to do. It's like, you don't want to not lose, but give up on a channel that has such a big audience, 200K subs, almost 10 million views. And so I guess now it's like, okay, well, I have to make something happen on YouTube again. I don't want to say have to, but I love creating content, and I lost the love of that because it was so focused on business. But I love creating content. I created videos way before I became an entrepreneur, just for fun. It always intrigued me creating videos, and so I had to refresh myself on like why I'm doing this. And so anyway, my channel I guess by the time this episode comes out, the new channel will have been launched. I launch it next week at the recording of this channel. But I'm starting it from scratch, and the plan is to really build that up. On the current channel, I'll probably post 1 to 2 times a month just because, it's there. It does get views, and there is a demand for heavy like monetization. So I just figured I'd talk about higher level monetization stuff. And that's my plan.
I know before we were talking that you had some hesitations, that you were like, Des, I'm not doing well, and I don't know if it's worth me talking. And I was like, Marissa, you've gone through and done so much. These are the stories that we need, because having your channel tank, having your subscribers not open your emails and your videos, and having the conversation of like, what do I do next? I love this thing, but I don't love what I was having to make. Like what you said about like, I hated the content I was making, but I still love creating. Like the amount of people I've talked to over the past year that have said those exact words is I think people will be shocked by, because the creator economy is a world. Being a YouTuber is this world that has never existed before. We manifested this world into existence out of a need, because we were YouTubers and stuff before COVID. Like you and I both started around the same time and did all of the things, but it wasn't until COVID and this like creation of this new word, creator economy, that like any of this became like a trackable, noticeable, growable sort of thing in the way that it is now. I'm with you. Like you are not alone in this at all. I haven't posted on my YouTube channel since like June, and it's October, right? Because I didn't have anything to say. And I'm pivoting my brand, and I'm doing something different, and I don't know how I want my YouTube channel to fit into that right now. And it just didn't make sense just posting for the sake of posting. My channel dropped like 60% of its views for no reason that I can understand, outside of people just weren't interested anymore, because how they use social media online marketing, it's just so different and convoluted and hard now. And my email list, I had over 20,000 people on my email list, and like, what did I have to say to them? Like, well, they weren't clicking, they weren't buying, they weren't watching. Like, what's the point? So I 100% get where you're at, and like asking myself the question is like, okay, well, like what is the next phase of this? And what's the next phase of me as a creator, as a business owner, as a YouTuber? Like what role does YouTube play in that? And I think that stepping back and taking the time to figure that out is just an important part of any business, where you're like, okay, it's not working anymore, or what I've been doing needs a change or a facelift or an update or whatever. What does that look like? And how do I get myself there? And I think that naively believing that your success now is just going to stay there is super ignorant. Like you always have to be figuring out like, what's next? How is this changing? How is the platform going to grow? What is the next place I need to spend my time? How do I make my next product or adjust my businesses? And I appreciate your candor and sharing with us like where you're at, what you're doing.
Yeah, no, thank you. It is important because behind the scenes, everyone's going through something.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how glorified it looks on YouTube or whatever social media platform, it's everyone is going through some type of growth of expansion moment.
We pick what you see about our lives. Like we're cultivating the message, the images, the videos, the conversations. We're very meticulously thinking like, how do I solve this problem for you based on my experience with strategic stories and systems and methods and stuff that we choose. And for me, I have always chosen, especially more and more lately, to be really candid and open about my struggles and what I've been dealing with, because I find that once I share and I expose the hard stuff, you watch people's like demeanor change and like how they talk change, and like you can really get in and see, oh, okay, like she's giving me the safe space to be honest and like share my failures and struggles, and then we can support each other through them. Because I think if anything negative that's come out of COVID is we don't have community in the same way anymore. And I miss that greatly about the world. And so I just want to be like, things suck sometimes. And we need to talk about it so that we don't feel crazy in our suck. And I think that applies to what we're doing here on YouTube. For me, YouTube sucks right now. It does. My business doesn't suck. Like my business is doing really well, but YouTube, the part of it, just sucks right now. And do I have a plan for fixing it? I do. Well, when it's time, I will make it happen. But it's not. It was definitely a fantastic starting point, but it just changes, and I think it does that for everybody at some point in the adventure.
Do you think about starting your channel over?
I do, and my plan for the relaunch of my YouTube channel is because I am not massive. I don't have 100,000 subscribers. I'm at 40,000 subscribers. My plan is to do a big rejolt to my YouTube channel. So the plan is to rebrand it into like new colors, new purpose, new mission, still same Desiree, but the better, smarter version of myself. Delete the videos that do not support the audience I want to talk to. And the new content that I'm creating, I intend to put ad dollars behind and boost them to the people I want to talk to. One of the things I really don't love about YouTube is that YouTube decides who they put my content in front of. And I just have to make sure I do a fantastic job of making it really clear, which I don't understand how you do when I can't tell YouTube who my content is for. So I'm like, I'm going to tap into that Google keyword ad program that they have that's monumentally successful and pays me AdSense every month and be like, I want to talk to these exact people, put my video content in front of them and make sure I have really strategic and effective messaging in there that gives a call to action to get on my email list or book consulting, like audit calls with me. Like that's my plan for my launch. I have zero intention of ever getting to 100,000 subscribers because I will say something blue in the face. Give me $100,000 over 100,000 subscribers any day.
No, I think that's a great plan. Like, you know, creating that momentum, that jolt you talked about. And I think you also mentioned like unlisting old videos that don't align anymore. And yeah, just creating some noise around it and just having the intention of, you know, creating the next 20 videos, 30 videos, right? That we can only control the output.
Well, usually at this point in our interview, we go over our pie chart of income, but we will not be doing that because we are rebuilding our pie chart of income with Marissa together. So we'll definitely have to do a follow-up, like a year later. Where are you at? What's changed? How have you grown and rebuilt something? And I think that that's a really valuable lesson for YouTubers to know, here's how to come back from the ashes situation. So Marissa, I am so grateful for you sharing your journey so honestly with us. We'll have the links to everything that you're doing, including your new channel, over in our show notes at thefunnedyoutuber.com. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And remember, everybody, go make that money. Till next week. Peace. The Funded YouTuber is brought to you by Gigastar, a parent company of Gigastar Market, an SEC-registered funding portal, and member of FINRA. Learn more at gigastar.io. Neither Gigastar nor its affiliated companies provide legal, regulatory, financial, or tax advice. Any opinions expressed herein are those of the authors and are the informational purposes only. The information and opinions expressed herein are subject to change without notice and do not take into account the particular investments, objectives, financial situation, or needs of any specific investors.